Hey guys, it's Alax, and before we start, I actually want to share with you a cool sponsorship for this video. Quid. It's a neat little app that changes the game when it comes to emojis. Basically, you can get packs of neat stickers and cards from your favorite franchises, which is the best part, like Family Guy, Breaking Bad, and Rick and Morty. Morty, you can use these stickers in messages, text messages, Facebook Messenger. You can use them everywhere and send Rick and Morty stickers to all your friends. And there's a whole trading system with these stickers and cards where you can find even rarer ones that aren't even available. There are limited amounts of each sticker, which is pretty cool, and it makes it so you can have something other people don't. I really do think that this app is going to blow up in the next year, and I'm really thankful that Quid gave me this sponsorship opportunity. So if you want to be my friend, I'm on the application at RelaxAlax. But let's get into the video.
It's Sonic speed!
Hold on, we need to talk about that. If there's one series I know well, it's Sonic the Hedgehog, and from being a fan of it and being online and now being a YouTuber, if you say anything negative, even remotely negative about this franchise, you will have quite the sophisticated group of people coming after you. I saved myself there, saved myself. It actually reminds me of Dragon Ball Z because it's something that we enjoyed when we were younger, watched a lot of it, and we grew up being fans of it, but as you got older, you saw other examples of similar media in the same genre and realized that this series had many shortcomings, many problems that you may not have saw before. But what do I mean in regards to the Sonic franchise? Well, Sonic has always been about gimmicks, and I'm not talking about this, or this, or this. I'm talking about the reason Sonic was created. He was meant to be about speed at all times, whether good or bad. And as we can see, this has led to problems in designing a Sonic game. I guess you could say Sonic forces bad game design. The cat, you're interrupting me now. I just started the video, dude. It's not a jab. It's not a jab. I think Sonic Forces is going to be, pretty well-received game across the board, May not be the best game ever created, but it's going to be a fun game. 7 out of 10. Sonic fans are going to be happy or early satisfied that they finally have a game without bugs or a game that's not off-brand. Now you're right, and that's kind of what has interested me in the Sonic franchise. I've been a fan of the games, but looking at it from the outside in, there are serious problems. Sonic has been through so many iterations, so many design changes, so many different gameplay types that, of course, many fans of the same franchise are going to have many different opinions about which games are the best. And this has prompted me to kind of want to look into the issue of Sonic and his design. Or, as the video title clickbaitily suggests, the problem with Sonic. Disclaimer, I'm just an idiot on the internet. I'm just a young man, 22 years old. I just make videos on game design because I like game design. I never made a game. I just like analyzing shit, I realize game design. Over my last few design analysis videos, I've been exploring Mario and his impact on gaming. He introduced the world to the platformer and the ability of the jump. Also, he defined what 3D games could be with an adjustable camera and open world design. To summarize my conclusions, basically, 3D game design gets way too hard when you can't restrict the X, Y, or Z axis. Miyamoto put it best when describing the problems in making the jump to 3D. In 2D, you could design obstacles with the knowledge of how many units Mario's jump went vertically and horizontally. It was black and white to designers and the players, just linear and easy to understand. But in 3D, it's much different. You have all these directions to consider when making a jump. And not even a hard one, just any jump. This ultimately makes learning the ins and outs of a character's jump much more challenging. But enough about the jump. Today we're ditching the Y-axis and turning 90 degrees to take a look at the X-axis, and just how it was pushed to its limits in the 3D game. Of course I mean how
Sonic speed!
Challenged the X-axis and was challenged by the Z-axis. Sonic presents a slew of problems to his games that only exist based on preposition. That preposition being Sonic's entire being. That's right, Sonic, I don't believe your games are bad because of Sega or Sonic Team's failures on the design. The failure is you. Now, before I pat myself on the back for these baseless statements, I want to explore the changes between Sonic in 2D and 3D and see what we can learn about the blue blur. Why did 2D Sonic work? What did 3D games do to hurt the formula? And how did they attempt to fix it? Alright, to start, Mario changed gaming. He defined 2D platformers. He was like Drake, 10 years after his debut, still going strong, owning the game. Mario's on that Hotline Bling shit. Mario's got that controller, the passion fruit. But the world noticed, and Mario impacted gaming for all of that time. Mario spawned many other games that either reworked the formula or copied it. Even Link, get out of here, you're not a platformer. However, Sega saw Mario's reign in the gaming industry and said, nah. They wanted to redefine the platformer and make a game that outclassed the rest. They didn't merely want to make a good game, they wanted to be the ones to take down Mario. So after a character design contest, a couple Michael Jackson songs, and the strongest promotional campaign in all of gaming, Sonic was born. But let's get into the core question. What made Sonic games click? Sure, there was a lot of good advertising, but what made this design work? Sonic's design was spawned from his creator, Yuji Naka, and his own experiences playing and replaying World 1-1 in Super Mario Bros. Doing that first level so many times created a love for running through it, where you'd jump at top speed without losing momentum. Now Sonic takes what Mario could do to the extreme and makes it a core part of Sonic's design. It was having a game where you could do all of that more of the time with a character that could do it better. You see, the basic reward in 2D Sonic gameplay is to allow the player to go fast. Alright, that sounds very dumb, so let me rephrase it. The main success and failure requirements of a Sonic game do not match up with Mario, with the hit leading to death and killing Goombers not leading to death. Though it does have this in the Sonic games, I'd like to argue differently. All of Sonic's gameplay focuses around going fast and staying fast. For example, if you're running fast, nailing timed jumps, and hitting enemies, you're maintaining top speed. This means you're getting through levels quickly, finding interesting paths, and seeing cool set pieces. On the flip, if you miss a jump or get hit by an enemy, you lose speed drastically. Notice how Sonic completely stops in his track, unlike with other games where you just flicker when you get hit. Well, most. The main mechanic that actually lets this speed-focused design work are rings. Or rather, how they're your form of life. Without this mechanic, getting hit by an enemy would lead to death more often. And it balances speed, so if you do get hit, you have a chance to get your rings back. Also, I should point out that if you are going fast, chances are you're running into more rings, which means more life. Now I can see you waggling your fingers saying, well, some Sonic levels are not fast, and you're right. You and you, do a lap.
Stupid asshole piece of shit.
Wait, what'd you say? Okay, bring your ass right back here. The only good thing about you is your music. Everything about you is just not Sonic. Your linear ass, your water level ass, you are not about speed at all. You have no speed sections. What, pressing buttons to open doors? Is this Zelda? Really? But they did get it together in Sonic 2, 3, CD, and Knuckles. Well, levels got more balanced with designated platforming sections, alternate paths, and speed sections that required reaction time. As the game progressed, it made these interactions more difficult and more interesting. Basically, the Sonic games finally found a happy medium between speed and platforming, and it was great because you'd have the speed sections with the childhood bliss. You don't care if you're not doing anything, you're just running through, and it's cool to look at and it's fun to do. And on the flip side, you'd actually have challenging platforming sections that would lead to alternate paths. It was good. I often say that Sonic 3 Knuckles is like probably one of the best platformers, or at least one of the best Sonic games for sure. And it's because it found this perfect balance between all of these things. I guess you're thinking that Sonic's design is actually pretty good. Wrong! Wrong! You're wrong! We're forgetting about the onset of 3D games. They took 2D game design rules and kind of threw them out the window. If Mario, the king of platformers at that time, was having problems transitioning into the 3D game, think about how hard it probably was for an unbalanced character like Sonic. It's even harder to go fast and stay fast in this game. There must be some physics I can dig up to sound smart. Oh, here. An object will stay at rest or move in uniform motion until acted upon by another force. So let's say Sonic's top speed is the uniform motion in 2D. It's easier because the only forces acting against you are you holding right and what's in front of you. You can maintain that top speed and still platform. Now in 3D, you have all of this. And not to mention, moving in a straight line is much harder here. What with you moving the analog stick as the levels change direction. And the bad part is, going fast is pretty unfavorable for platforming in 3D. And this is just a trickle-down effect with everything, like the camera. Think about how hard it was to follow a quick-moving Sonic through the 2D games. Now how about you break your neck as the camera changes angles every 2 seconds? Another thing is level design. To use an easy example, Mario decided to go the open world route so players could take their time and explore. There's no linearity, so there's no rush from A to B. And while Sonic games have these open worlds, Sonic's speed makes them a cakewalk. They're small. Most of Sonic's 3D games still rely on big, linear levels. Why? Because open worlds that were conceivable around the time of early 3D games did not let Sonic utilize his core trait of speed. There's probably another formula here that will make me sound intelligent. Oh, here! Let's say they choose a speed for Sonic. Then they have to decide the factors of the distance and time. And if the distance is short, that means the time will be short. So you have to make a really long distance to make a level that is longer than an average roller coaster ride. The way I think about it is, Sonic goes really fast, meaning he runs through a lot, meaning there's a lot of area for game designers to code and make, meaning levels have to be bigger. But since Sonic runs through areas so quickly, why spend so much time on one area? Why make a great, beautiful environment if you're not even going to see it? This is why many 3D Sonic games often reuse assets and have what you see is what you get graphics. They had to do their best to make these levels long while not totally cheaping out on the environments and art. Finally, we can return to this formula to see time and how it factors in. Since Sonic can run through these long levels in 2 minutes, it can make for a very short console title if Sonic was the only character. This is my guess as to why they add multiple stories to many of these games. Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 had several stories and different characters so they could reutilize levels' assets and diversify the gameplay. Sonic Heroes had 4 stories run through the same levels with varying layouts. Sonic 06, again, reused the same levels with different gameplay styles. And need I go on about the long Werehog levels in Sonic Unleashed? Oh my god, guys, we gotta go! Sonic going fast is the reason all of these games and their shortcomings exist. Now, just a disclaimer, I like these games for different reasons. Some of them may not have speed, but I like some of the sections they added. What I'm getting at is, speed was the first thing they decided, and then all these other things were thought about after the fact. You think the big section, the mech sections, the Werehog, you think any of these were decided upon before Sonic's speed? Of course not. They were added to flesh out the game so there was more to play. This brings us to the new era of Sonic and how they finally fixed up the formula. Of course, I'm talking about the Sonic Unleashed daytime stages, Sonic Color, Sonic Generations, and now Sonic Forces. If you remember, at the beginning of the video I said something like 3D games can only work if you restrict the X, Y, or Z axis. After we just analyzed all these 3D Sonic games and compare them to these newer ones, we can see that this is the big difference between the new boost formula and those older platformy ones. It's often a joke with these new Sonic games that Sonic beats the level himself. You just have to hold boost and you'll win. It's DJ Khaled the game. And while that's not completely true, there is some merit. Many of these levels have a funnel design formula where they push Sonic in the right direction, and they make it so making an error is hard. In turn, this makes a gameplay style that's focused on either the X and Y axis, in the 2D sections, or the Y and Z axis in the 3D sections. Now, this may sound like they finally reached some sort of formula that works, and for the most part, it does. But many of these modern games still reutilize assets so they can make the game longer, like many of them have multiple missions and, in the case of Generations, now another story that reutilizes the level's assets. Half the game is classic Sonic. Even in Sonic Forces, we can see they added a new gameplay mode that is similar to Sonic, just less about speed. And as I've said, they just reused the same levels with different layouts or themes to fluff up the game. I think we've reached a conclusion about how the Sonic series came to be, and again, these games, I may say they're bad and they're designed bad, but I'm no designer and I'm not you. You may have liked some of these games and the sections that they brought to the game, and that does not mean they're bad, but for what Sonic games are trying to do and how they go about balancing the speed, I think it's just always, that balance is always going to be so hard to meet. That having to cater to Sonic speed is always going to be just so hard to meet. And it raises the question as to why they still even do it, because all the Sonic games, maybe not Lost World and Sonic Boom, all of them still cater to the Sonic Ring formula. They still have boost sections, they still have automated running sections, and it's just like, what's the point? Because you've seen a lot of games adapt and change over time as the 3D game has evolved. Mario, every platformer is always different with how he has lives and what the actual goal of the game is. Zelda, Breath of the Wild, for Pete's sake. So why is Sonic still attached to these archaic design ways? Why does he still have to collect rings and lose lives? Why can't they adapt? It's kind of a shitty spot to be in for the designers. If they try to change the formula to be slower, they'd end up with the hate like they got with Sonic Lost World and this. But keeping the game all about speed leads to games with short playtimes and little depth. Kinda reminds me of more physics that will make me look smart. For every action, there's an opposite reaction. In the case of Sonic, since his action of going fast and staying fast is so extreme, the reaction is just as extreme. Again, I haven't designed a game, I don't know how to design a game, but I imagine the Sonic formula is very frustrating and exhausting to try and balance. And in the end, it forces Sonic's design to be bad. And that's it for my Sonic video. I don't really know how to end it for you guys, honestly. You guys are gonna come to the comments, you guys are gonna say, like, you're gonna pick out points that I made and say what is wrong, and I totally agree, do that, but I don't think I'm the only one. I think we can all somewhat agree that the Sonic series has problems, and I don't know how they're gonna fix them unless they change Sonic. Sega and Sonic team, they want Sonic to be about speed and quickness and all that, but as long as they're subscribing to that, like, Sonic will not be able to change. He'll always be stuck in the same rut, he'll always be trying to make up for his speed with some other section of the game, and we will always be here back at square one. That is why people consider the Sonic cycle to be something that exists. And I don't fucking know what to tell you. I don't know what Sonic can do. Sonic probably looks at himself in the morning. He probably looks in the mirror and he's like, what the fuck happened to you, man? What happened to you? What have you become? You used to be the spitting image of gaming. You used to be something. And now, what are you? You're chasing an apparition of your old self. You're chasing a dream that doesn't even exist. You're chasing something that you thought you had and you never even obtained it. It was all a dream. It was all a farce. Your whole existence was made up on a commercial notion, a capitalist motion, and you think you deserve more? You think you deserve more and you're not gonna try and change? Let me tell you something. As long as you stay the way you are, you're not gonna deserve any type of change. You gotta grow, you gotta adapt, and if you're just gonna watch everyone pass you by, then you ain't nothing quick. You're the slowest hedgehog around, Sonic. You ain't shit! Thank you all for watching. I'm just going to remind you about Quid. It's in the description. You can add me on it at RelaxAlax. Very happy to do the sponsorship. Usually I get a lot of them, and they're all just like, you know, the ones I know you don't like, but this one I'm actually really excited to share with you, and I thank Quid for giving me this opportunity. Finally, I just need to say thank you to my patrons. I was really stressed out at how long this video took to make, but you guys took that stress off my back because I could actually make this video the way I wanted to. No rushing, just making it exactly how I wanted. So thank you, all of you. You really helped me out. Anyways, I just want to say thanks to everyone. I know it's kind of like bullshit because I'm thinking all this other shit, but thank you everybody who watch, like, and do all that crap. It helps me out immensely. Now go down below and tell me another franchise or character that you want me to touch upon because I'm really enjoying this. So if you are too, go on, tell me one you want. Anyways, take it easy. I gotta sleep now.